a nation and the people on the move, keeping you up to date. Belmopan Weekly.
Tonight on Belmopan Weekly, Prime Minister holds quarterly press conference, many Belizeans sign up for a boost, plus the BNE Charitable Trust and how what they do affects you. These and more top news stories. Good evening and thanks so much for being with us on this Thursday, the 3rd of November. I'm Dawn Mitchell. On Wednesday, the Prime Minister summoned the media to a press conference at the Biltmore Plaza Hotel. It was another of his regular quarterly press conferences, but much of what he shared was extraordinarily good news.
Light bills are going down. That was arguably the biggest announcement made by the Prime Minister at his quarterly press conference. It's something he'd indicated as early as Independence Day, but on Wednesday he outlined the timetable and the process, which begins immediately.
How it operates is that BEL makes its submission to the PUC. BEL will do this by the 1st of December, by the 1st of next month. Thereafter, the PUC should have a preliminary decision by January, by early January. If there are no objections to the PUC's preliminary decision, that decision will become final within 10 or 15 days. I'm not sure of the exact time frame, but we hope to have new electricity rates, new tariffs agreed by the end of January 2012. Now, clearly this exercise is an objective one, and I can't presuppose and I can't interfere with the discretion and authority of the Public Utilities Commission. But you don't have to be very bright to know that I certainly would not have insisted that the process be put in train if I did not feel very confident that, contrary to what Fortis was saying, this rate-setting exercise can produce a lowering of electricity rates for the Belizean people.
As for telecommunications, the Prime Minister noted that the lowering of internet rates by Belize Telemedia, now owned by government, and the removal of GST has forced other operators to lower their rates as well. And as a consequence, the number of Belizeans accessing the internet is increasing dramatically.
These things are important to record because I am thereby able to say that the Belizean people are already seeing and will continue to see concrete benefits as a result of the nationalization of the essential utilities, concrete benefits as a result of the passage of the constitutional amendment.
Turning to infrastructure, the Prime Minister announced that Phase 2 of the IDB-funded Poverty Alleviation Program is about to begin, which will see the lining of Collett Canal from Yarborough to Conchal Bay, the paving of Central American Boulevard and several other streets on the south side of Belize City, including Neils Penn Road, Amara Avenue, Benbow Street and Jane Usher. He said he's about to sign a new loan agreement with the IDB for a north side drainage project to begin next year, which will address flooding in areas like Belama, and the government will find additional resources to repair other streets in the city, such as Lizaraga, and to rehabilitate highways and streets in towns and villages countrywide.
I want citizens all over this nation to know that we will be doing our very best to try to rehabilitate infrastructure after the rainy season, which is not quite through yet, but we want to start sooner rather than later.
More infrastructure means more employment, and the PM emphasized that government is ensuring that as many jobs as possible are provided, especially for those previously involved in criminal gang activity.
The Minister is seeking to negotiate with all those that have entered bids so that we can be sure that winners will offer employment to some of the young men that we we have now put to work. It's not going to be easy for government to sustain the financial outlays that have been the cost of the employment program. So to the extent that some of them can then be moved so that they become part of the private sector workforce in the context of Southside Poverty Alleviation Phase 2, that will be a good thing. The Ministry of Works will also do a portion of that infrastructure works, will be responsible for a portion of the program, and so the Ministry of Works will itself be able to employ about 100 to 150 under the component that it will be responsible for. So we're absolutely confident that we can continue to absorb the young men who have been involved in this program in terms of the job opportunities.
The PM noted that a separate program through Cisco Construction, which already employed such youths in reconstructing Bishop Street, will move on to Farrell's Lane, South Street and others.
The Cisco people have entered bids with respect to the Southside Phase 2, and they certainly have made clear that any bid that they win, the work will be done using the new methodology, which they say doesn't send up the cost any, but which certainly helps in terms of being, as I said, very, very labor intensive.
He also gave an update on a related initiative of the government aimed at redirecting youths and preparing them for gainful employment.
The Magazine Road Second Chance project, if I can call it that, we've just approved some money so that the recurrent costs can be taken care of and so that the minister can get on with the work there. We are absolutely convinced that in terms of government resources, and the kind of public spending which is necessary to help to drive things forward in an atmosphere of global recession, we're absolutely confident that government has been doing, is doing, and will continue to do more than its fair share.
As to the private sector, the PM announced that his government and that sector are co-organizing a symposium set for November 23rd to explore and agree on areas for stimulating economic activity. Following through on another Independence Day pledge, the PM reported that Cabinet has approved the disbursement of $1 million to survey 3,884 residential and agricultural lots in areas already identified, those lands expected to be issued in January of next year. And he reminded the press that at the last sitting he secured approval from the House to write off mortgages for over 9,000 families who are struggling to repay loans from the Ministry of Housing.
I know that poor people breathe a sigh of relief every time the government is able to offer something by way of poverty alleviation. The food pantry program, the conditional cash transfer program, both programs are under the Ministry of Human Development, are going well, going great guns. And I say again that we are completely convinced that this government is proving by deeds, not words, that it is a pro-people, pro-poor government, and we're very, very pleased with that.
Wednesday's press conference was the Prime Minister's last quarterly press conference for this year, 2011. The government of Belize under this UDP administration has as its mantra the alleviation, if not elimination, of poverty in Belize. To help those that are at the lowest socioeconomic ladder, the Ministry of Human Development has launched a program to help boost the present and future of our people. Belmopan Weekly's Ada Herrera has more.
The Boost program is a social assistance program in which deserving citizens enter into a social contract with the government of Belize. The Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of Human Development and Social Transformation, Ms. Judith Alpuche, expounds.
Boost is the conditional cash transfer program, and basically what it is a cash transfer program, as the name suggests. The government enters into a social contract with the beneficiary, where the government provides a cash transfer on a monthly basis according to a number of beneficiaries in family, and in return the families ensure that their children go to school 85% of the time, that they have their immunizations according to schedule, that they have health checks, etc., and so forth.
CEO Alpuche went on to explain why education plays a key role in poverty.
That the best way to help people to move out of poverty is through education. So what this program is trying to do at its very core is not only providing that immediate relief, but also trying to prepare these families, to prepare the children of these indigent families to be able to maneuver and to go to the next level.
I caught up with the Ministry of Human Development officers where they were screening possible beneficiaries from the River Valley area in Sun Hill Village. They were preparing to take the villagers to that next level, and I spoke to some of the potential recipients.
Well, it could help me in many ways because I have 4 kids where I'm responsible for, 2 the high school and 2 in a primary school.
Yeah, finance-wise, yes, to benefit, because then you got more money. The more you have, then you could do much more, like make it better for yourself and your kids, for your family, and maybe could help others along the way. Yeah, I thank the government of Belize and Minister Castro, and for the help. It's a good program.
The Ministry of Human Development reassesses the recipients after a 3-year period to see where they stand financially.
There is a recertification process, as we call it in the Boost, where every 3 years we reassess families to see where they are. If you think about it, and we're dealing with indigent families, the poorest of the poor, it's not like they can turn around and become non-poor in 6 months. So every 3 years we will do an assessment to see where they are. And also, as I said, we're building these foundations to see if, so that it will support even more casework management and linking people into different services, training programs, and so forth.
Ida Herrera reporting for Belmopan Weekly.
We'll be right back with more Belmopan Weekly in a moment. Stay with us.
Belize's children are not for sale.
Protect us.
Put an end to commercial sexual exploitation.
Let us not, by our inaction, become accomplices to sexual exploitation.
Every year, thousands of people travel to foreign countries because of a promise for a better life. Many times, however, the promise of better wages, a better job, and a better life for themselves and their families turns out to be a lie. they become victims of human trafficking. You could be a victim of trafficking if your employer or someone acting on his or her behalf is holding your passport, cedula, birth certificate, or other travel documents with or without your consent. Someone has tricked or forced you to leave your country. You are not told the truth about the kind of work you are doing. You are forced to work in order to pay off a loan debt. A stranger has paid for or helped you to get your visa. If you or someone you know is a victim of human trafficking, visit or call the Ministry of Human Development office or the nearest police station.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, thanks for tuning in. More top news stories now. More and more of our Belizean children continue receiving the best possible education. But even with the best system, if the infrastructure is not conducive to learning, much will be lost. On Monday, October 31st, the government of Belize broke ground for the expansion of Buena Vista Government School. At a cost of more than $500,000, the government of Belize, through the Social Investment Fund, will very shortly provide a new school building for the Buena Vista Government School. One of the two buildings, the wooden structure, is rapidly deteriorating and is in urgent need of substitution. Hence, government's intervention to make the school environment and surrounds much more pleasant and safe. According to school principal Mrs. Alberta August, the pupils of Buena Vista Government School will now be more empowered and become more industrious and positive citizens to make Belize a safer place and a much better place to live. The annual Clear the Land Cup football tournament concluded in Maskell Village on Saturday, October 26th, in which teams from throughout rural Belize participated. At the end of it, Hattieville and Maskell played for first place, with Maskell being the victors. Every year, the tournament is held with the purpose of keeping youths engaged in healthy and constructive activities, in so doing, providing a setting for progressive and productive youth. Area Representative Honorable Edmund Castro was on hand to deliver the trophies and the cash prizes. The first place winner took home $1,500 in cash and trophies, and second place got $500 plus trophies. The tournament started in April with 10 senior teams and 4 junior teams. Up next, a closer look at the Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust and Niche, how they are bringing you closer to the arts. These stories when we come back.
What if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life, as you know it, is completely turned on its head? What if everything familiar becomes anything but? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today. Learn how at www.nemo.org.bz.
When we think of Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust, we may want to think of oil. But really, it's about how this expensive commodity touches our lives. In this week's Belmopan Weekly, Claudia Grouch takes a closer look at this trust where she found out just how invested they are in our Belizean way of life.
In many countries, the idea of oil companies giving back is unheard of, but not in Belize, thanks to this UDP government's commitment to the Belizean people. According to Mrs. Tracy Panton, General Manager of the BNE Charitable Trust, the Belize Natural Energy and the government formed a partnership or trust back in 2008, the results of which many Belizeans countrywide are currently benefiting from.
When the Belize Natural Energy got its first exploration license in Belize, they negotiated as part of their production sharing agreement a percentage of what they earn from oil revenues to be designated into a trust fund. This was money that a government would forego in terms of the taxes it collected directly. And so both parties agreed, B&E as a settler, as they call it, of the trust, and the government as a receiving party, that these monies would be used to help to unlock, if you will, the potential of Belize.
An idea which is not far-fetched, as the B&E Charitable Trust to date has invested in a total of 32 projects, many of which include investing in the future of our country, our children.
There are actually 15 of our current projects that impact educational institutions in Belize throughout the country, from, Orange Walk all the way down south. Anything from music rooms to computer labs to renovation of roofs to additional classroom buildings to assistance with sporting facilities for these schools.
On Friday, October 28th, the B&E Charitable Trust celebrated the roof restoration of a 4-classroom building belonging to the Sacred Heart Primary School in San Ignacio Town, Cayo. According to Mrs. Bernadine Laverne Martinez, principal, the help couldn't have come sooner.
We were so happy when the project was approved. The proposal was approved, and as you can see, throughout the summer, they worked throughout the summer. And I know that the Belize Trust Fund have helped quite a number of people, organizations, schools. As we speak, there is another school who will be having an inauguration next week, On behalf of our parents, and students of the school, we have 930 students here in this school, from 5-year-olds to 14, 16 years old, from infant 1 to standard 6. And we are grateful, we show appreciation, and we are very grateful for B&E Trust Fund to have come to our help and our assistance.
But while you may think that this type of work is quote-unquote easy, well, we found out that it's a process which is easier said than done.
We get hundreds of applications, and we have the job to liaise with each one of them and see which project is really worth the while. We cannot fund everybody's project, but we have to find those that are really in need and that affect more people. And we try to be as equally spreading out the trust funds across the nation. Make sure we spend some in every district. So I think we've touched every district so far. I have been a member of the trust for over 3 years now, and it's not been easy administering the funds for the trust. It's a lot of work, but it's finally on a roll. We are inaugurating projects all over the country, and this is just one of them, a roof for the Sacred Heart Primary School.
The B&E Charitable Trust not only invests in education, however, as it has helped in the construction of sporting facilities and projects affecting the elderly and children with special needs, just to name a few. For Belmopan Weekly, I am Claudia Grouch.
So far, the B&E Charitable Trust Fund has issued over $3 million Belize dollars worth of financing to institutions, organizations, and yes, to individuals. The next project cycle begins with the call for proposals in November this year, with distribution of assistance to begin in March 2012. If you would like more information on how to submit your application and the process, please contact the B&E Charitable Trust at 822-2440 or visit them at www.bnetrust.org. Access to the arts can have a lasting and transforming effect on many aspects of people's lives. Research has shown involvement with the arts can increase the overall academic attainment of children, help change the behavior of offenders, and enhance community pride, amongst many other positive outcomes. And in their continuous effort to bring the arts to the Belizean people, the National Institute for Culture and History, NICH, is preparing to launch a very exciting lineup this month. Here's more.
In a very, very simple way then, our objective really is to preserve and promote the arts, the culture, the heritage of this country.
And while promoting our local talent is definitely priority for NICH, according to Ms. Diane Haylock, president of NICH, the organization is also about promoting cultural exchange and cultural diversity. And what better way to do so other than with the aptly named Dance X or Dance Exchange, part of the 3rd annual Dance Extravaganza set to begin this weekend at the Bliss Center for the Performing Arts.
And it is something that we do annually, but on a smaller scale. This year it's international. And so for all the weekends in the month of November, we actually have some international companies as well as our local dance companies.
The Belize Dance Company, our very own local dance company, which just recently celebrated its 20th year in existence, is set to begin the extravaganza with a performance on Friday, November 4th. The Dallas Black Theater Company, the oldest continuously operating professional dance company in Dallas, is set to perform on Saturday. The International Company is known for their exuberant performances by an ensemble of 14 professional dancers, one of whom is a Belizean.
Our very own Jamie Thompson, who had gone to the United States to study dance and was recruited by the Dallas Black Theater Company to perform with them. So Jamie is now a member of the Dallas Black Theater Company, and he will be performing with them for the first time here in Belize on Saturday night.
And for those of you who may prefer a quiet, calm, sophisticated ambiance as opposed to the energizing, explosive atmosphere that is sure to be at Dance X, you may want to check out the new exhibit entitled Hurricane Hattie, 50 Years After the Eye of the Storm at the Museum of Belize. Or if your beat is more modern and edgy, then first ever International Sculpture Symposium is just for you.
It's going to be a 1-month period in which 8 sculptors, 7 from outside of Belize and 1 Belizean sculptor, will congregate on the Old Set compound and will actually be carving 8 individual pieces of public art, right? So it's like huge, giant size sculptures will be created, one each by each one of these sculptors. And the idea is that then these pieces will be placed in public spaces.
Clearly, there is something for everyone.
For us, the idea is for people to be able to appreciate art, not just by having to go to an art gallery or something like that. If you're into dance, you can have your dance feast for 4 weekends in the month of November. The exhibition will continue for several months at the Museum of Belize, so you can drop in anytime.
Only someone in a very dark mood will be able to resist the exuberance emanating from the exciting lineup the National Institute of Culture and History has planned for Belizeans this month.
NICH will also launch the beginning of its process to develop a national culture policy for Belize on Monday, November 14th. For a schedule of activities, you can visit their website at www.nichbelize.org. Well, that's it for another edition of Belmopan Weekly. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to provide feedback or send in your comments, please feel free to email us at production@pressoffice.gov.bz. or visit our Facebook page and let us know what you think. We look forward to hearing from you. Have a great week. Until next time.